Do you think there's still Reagan effect on where we are today?
I believe there's an example there of about where we are today, about how to negotiate with other powers, and to also recognize that there are bad actors out there who don't wish us well. You know, America is a country, we want to get along with everybody, and we are a shining example to the rest of the world. And I think that's the way Americans see themselves. But I think there's a naivete, I think, sometimes in that it's going to be reciprocated on the other side. And, you know, other countries, their leaders, they've come up a certain way. They have different histories that, I mean, just imagine like Russia's history. I mean, I can understand why the Soviet Union, why it was the way it was, given its history, which is very brutal.
Oh,
And yeah, so they live by different rules. So I think, yeah, he's a great example of that. Just like Hitler was an example of what happens when you practice appeasement. They get entitled to take more.
You know, this is going to come out, 9 weeks before the election?
I think so. And we were making this movie, and I so did not want it to come out in an election year. And I think it did a lot of praying over that, but I think God had different ideas about it, I guess. But here we are. Because it's, you know, I didn't want the movie to be a political statement, which I still don't think it is. You know, that Reagan was a Democrat before he was a Republican, by the way. And, but that's just the way, it is. And so that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, you got some heavy hitters in this movie. I mean, Mark Joseph, the movies that they've been involved in, X-Men, Hocus Pocus, Planet of the Apes, Rocky, John Avildsen was saying that Rocky was not a story about boxing. Boxing was simply Rocky's job. And similarly, the Reagan film is not a film about politics, but the story of a man who happens to be in politics. And it feels that way. Is that how you felt doing it?
Oh, yeah. I really believe that, too. You know, like, for instance, sports movies, I'll just take one of mine, like The Rookie is not about baseball.
Right.
Because I can watch that on television.
Yeah.
It's about second chances in life, which everybody can relate to. And Reagan is not about politics. You know, it's about us. And, you know, I think it's like to be determined, that could mean a lot of things to different people. But you have to relate with it. It can't just be, otherwise, just go to YouTube and you can see all the history of what happened. And this is not a history lesson. It's about, I think for those born before 1985, it'll be a remembrance of what this country was and what it still can be. And for those born after, it'll be what this country could be. And I think it's inspiring.
I'm glad it's coming out in an election year. I know you wished it wasn't, but I think it's a wake-up call.
I've gotten to acceptance on that one. But it's in a way, I think it's a calling to our higher angels about what it is to be of service. And, you know, just even if that great things happen to common people.
Yeah, I think it's a very relatable story. I mean, I was so glad to see just even the parts about when he was younger and having to deal with bullies. It seems like it's one of those stories where everything he ever did prepared him for what he would ultimately do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true of everybody. But each thing he went through seemed to be a lesson for what he would have to do on the international stage, the national stage and the international stage.
There's a purpose out there, and, you know, I would call it God's purpose. You know, people would call it a thing. There's a God, you know, unto our lives that I think that we need to find or feel compelled to find, and sometimes do not find. But I think with Reagan, I look back on his life, and you're right about that. It did seem that so many things were leading him to that. His movie career, for one thing, one thing I felt, and I identify with him. I think he felt a failed actor. He never really got his chance. He was B movies. That's what we're giving it.
Yeah.
The slot that he would have taken iconically would have been John Wayne, but that slot was taken
Yeah.
by John Wayne, and Warner, who he was very close to, but never really got him the chance. He married Jane Wyman, which is his first wife, and his career was at the end of his career. And next thing you know, she wins an Academy Award, and to live in relief of her, she really kind of like transcended him. He was in her shade, and he went from that to doing soap ads on TV. He had really kind of a Vegas act that was kind of slapstick. I think he wasn't really all that proud of. He went through, struggled.
Yeah.
Really some struggle until he, along came GE. And I think that was the thing that propelled him towards getting into politics.
Yeah, he clearly evolved and I guess got in touch with a deeper sense of who he was,
Mm-hmm.
which leads me to a question. I've known you a long time. We haven't known each other all that well, but we've known each other a long time,
Mm-hmm.
always been friendly, gotten along well. Have you evolved as you've gotten older? You're over 40 now.
Yeah. I think I'm almost not times 2 over 40, but I'm 70 now. Yeah. Of course, luckily I feel like I have evolved. It's evolved. Evolvement comes, I think, with struggle and not so comfortable things happening to you, and a lot of things that I think evolvement comes out of mistakes a lot. But I'm in a place where the best place I've ever been in life, I think.
Do you think you've gotten more spiritual, more in touch with that side of yourself?
Yeah, I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Yeah, that has grown. That's been going on for quite a while. But I think as maybe too, as you get older and if you self-examine, that things don't bother me as like they used to. You let a lot of things go that used to be like so important to me and that were unnecessary.
Yeah.
About being worried about what the world thinks of you or trying to achieve something in life. I like acting. I don't do this for like awards, and says the guy who never won an Academy Award. But I do it because I love it, and I'm really at this point with all my experience, I'm having more fun at it than I ever had because I'm doing things that I want to do.
Yeah, but your career is storied. I mean, you have to agree you've had an amazing career.
My autobiography is going to be called My Lucky Life because it's been really amazing. And I have a beautiful relationship with such a beautiful, wonderful woman now that I've really finding out every day about what love is. And I don't know why it came along at this time of my life, but it did. And I'm so grateful for it. It just makes the sunshine every day.
Yeah. How about the music in your life? You're loving doing that.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I put out a gospel record last year. In fact, it was #1 when it came out. And it's called Fallen. It's a gospel record for sinners. And I called it that because I wanted to have the biggest possible audience I could get.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So, it's kind of, I guess, in the end, it's my spiritual journey. It's like half songs I grew up with in the Baptist church, and the other half are songs that I wrote during different times of my life.
Yeah. We opened with one of those songs at the beginning. When did you start singing?
Very early. I was into music. In fact, really, I wanted to be a musician before I wanted to be an actor. Yeah, I grew up with Elvis, Hank Williams, and the Beatles.
Yeah.
And that's, what I wanted to be besides being a veterinarian. But the veterinarian went out the window when I was a veterinarian assistant.
Yeah.
We went out to do a castration on a horse. That ended that.
You said that's it?
Yeah, that was it.
That's one trial learning?
Yeah, they didn't give him enough anesthetic. But I was going to be a musician, but I found acting with teacher Mr. Cecil Pickett, who my brother also took from. He was fantastic. He opened up a world to me, and that was the question, what makes people tick? And I've been fascinated with that ever since.
Yeah, you always immerse yourself in the roles, and I'm not surprised to see you play Reagan. It's really interesting how you get the nuances in, and I think this is going to be a game changer.